Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so.
Shalom, hello, hope you're all doing well. This is the second section of part 3, still in line with Yahusha HaMashiach in the Old Testament and following up from the last video that covered Yeshayahu Isaiah chapter 53, showing Yahusha HaMashiach as the arm of Yahuwah, his right hand, who will find out all the enemies of Yahuwah. So following up and showing that in order for Yahuwah's arm to do that, Yahuwah will set Yahusha HaMashiach, his right hand, up as king. And it's the book of Tehilliym or Psalms that reveals this. Psalms is a book of poetry, is a book of praise, history, and prophecy written between the periods 1000 to 450 BC and by 6 different people or groups, you could say, within that time period. Korah was the Levite who was swallowed up by the earth in the book of Numbers, along with others in rebellion against Yahuwah, and Moshe and Aaron, who Yahuwah had appointed. But Korah's children were spared and would go on to offer much praises and music to Yahuwah. And it was the sons of Korah who wrote 11 of the Psalms, which were Psalms chapter 42, chapters 44 to 49, chapter 84, 85, 87, and also 88. Asaph was a Levite appointed over praise and worship, and he wrote 12 of the Psalms, that is Psalms 50 and Psalms 73 to 83. Moshe, or Moses, wrote one psalm, which was Psalms 90. Ethan, the Ezrahites of King Solomon's time, also wrote one psalm, which was Psalms 89. King Solomon himself wrote Psalms 72 and 127, and the other 120 plus psalms were written by King David. So we're in Psalms chapter 2, where once again Yahusha HaMashiach is identified in the Old Testament, on this occasion as the one who will declare Yahuwah's order for him, as his son and king. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahuwah and against his Mashiach, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sits in the heavens shall laugh. Yahuwah shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. Yahuwah has said unto me, you are my son. This day have I begotten you. Ask of me, and I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve Yahuwah with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Psalms chapter 2 is future prophecy of Yahusha HaMashiach, which has been partly fulfilled already, but not entirely. The first occasion of fulfillment was around the time of Yahusha's arrival in Nazareth, where he was experiencing pushback from the locals and the authorities. Fast forward slightly to the time after Yahusha's ascension and to the book of Acts chapter 4, where Kepha, or Peter, and Yohanan, or John, are being interrogated and threatened by the high priests and the elders for teaching the resurrection of Yahusha and for the healing miracles that Yahuwah granted them to perform. Many at that time were rightfully glorifying Yahuwah for the miracles, and so eventually the high priests and the elders stopped their threats and interrogations for the moment and let Kepha and Yohanan go. And being let go, they went to their own company and reported all that the chief priests and elders had said unto them. And when they heard that, they lifted up their voice to Yah with one accord and said, Yahuwah, you are Elohim, which have made heaven and earth and the sea and all that in them is, who by the mouth of your servant David have said, why did the heathen rage and the people imagine vain things? The kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against Yahuwah and against his Mashiach. For of a truth against your holy son Yahusha, whom you have anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, with the Gentiles and the people of Yasha'al were gathered together for to do whatsoever your hand and your counsel determines before to be done. And now, Adonai, behold their threatenings, and grant unto your servants that with all boldness they might speak your word. So, from verses 25 to 28, we see Kefa and Yehochanan citing Psalms chapter 2 and identifying that the heathen, the people, and the kings and rulers of the earth spoken of centuries earlier, who were imagining vain things and taking counsel together to set themselves against Yahuwah and Yahusha, was King Herod, the governor of Judea Pontius Pilate, Gentiles, and also some from amongst the nation of Yasha'al. These were initially prophesied to cast away the word of Yahuwah, which they then did. Therefore, that aspect of prophecy in Psalms chapter 2 was fulfilled. But the chapter also identifies Yahusha as the king that Yahuwah has set on Mount Zion, who will declare the decree as his son, who will inherit the heathen, possess the earth, and absolutely decimate its rulers. And this hasn't happened yet. So when Psalms chapter 2 was written, it was a prophetic warning to the people and the kings and judges of the earth at Yahusha's first coming, for them to put their trust in him and serve Yahuwah in fear through his son's direction. And simultaneously, it's also a prophetic warning to the people and the leaders and rulers of our time, with the same message, because we will be the ones to experience Yahusha HaMashiach's second coming, which is the wrath of Yahuwah revealed through him, at which point he will break the heathen with a rod of iron and take possession of the earth. That will be the complete fulfillment of Psalms chapter 2. So here we are in the Old Testament again, following up from Yeshayahu chapter 53 with the book of Psalms, with Yahuwah's arm and right hand established as son of Yahuwah and king, who will declare his decree. Until that fulfilled declaration, whilst in obedience to the commandments, what we're instructed to do is wait until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be, binding his foal onto the vine, and his ass's colt onto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. There we are once again with Yahusha HaMashiach in the Old Testament of Genesis this time, prophesied by Moshe as Shiloh, which in the Hebrew is an epithet of Mashiach or Messiah, anointed one, or a symbolic name for the ruler of Yehuda or Judah. And it should be known from the last video that King David is not Shiloh or Mashiach, because King David prophesied himself in Psalms 110 to having an Adonai or a master who is seated at Yahuwah's right hand. When Shiloh comes, reference is made to him washing his garments in wine and in the blood of grapes, which is descriptive of the bloodshed that will follow from those foolish enough to try and oppose him at his second coming. Yeshayahu in the Old Testament prophesied, "Who is this that comes from Edom, with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, travelling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore are you red in your apparel, and your garments like him that treads in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come." So we see the parallel here, with reference to treading the wine fat and the winepress symbolizing blood-stained garments. Shiloh on his return will wash his garments in wine and in the blood of grapes. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahuwah. And he treads the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Yahuwah Sebaoth. So we see reference here in the Old Testament that Yahuwah's son, HaMashiach, set up as king, is coming back for a bloody affair to slay the wicked, or is seen in other places in the Bible to put many of them in chains. So now is the time for us to repent and get in line with his instructions, so that on his return we might stand and escape the wrath of Yahuwah. His word in the Bible are his instructions, which point to the commonsensical 10 commandments that serve as a mirror for us to look into and examine ourselves, whilst having accepted Yahusha HaMashiach, of course. And Yahusha did not take away the law. He came to verify or to complete it or to perfect it, so to speak, because some things previously instructed by Moshe were not quite in line with Yahuwah's will. Now, having accepted Yahusha HaMashiach through baptism, we serve Yahuwah in spirit and in truth with his laws and expectations written in our hearts and minds, pricking the consciences of those belonging to him. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve Yahuwah with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him.